Mukesh Ambani, still right up there at the top. Asia's richest, ninth globally. You see it in Forbes, March 2025. What's the driving force, behind that kind of success? It's $119.5 billion last we checked in October.
$119.5 billion. It's a figure that really captures the imagination. That's precisely what we're delving into today, the core of Mukesh Ambani's journey.
Not just the numbers.
Not just the numbers, no. The defining moments, the strategic thinking, the sheer ambition. It's a story that's got to have some really interesting pieces to it. We've got a whole range of information here, from his early days all the way to just recently.
We want to extract those insights, those aha moments, give you the knowledge without information overload.
Yeah.
So where do we begin?
Well, the story begins in Aden,
Okay.
present-day Yemen. That's where Mukesh Ambani was born, April 1957.
Okay.
His parents, Dhirubhai and Kokila Ambani, Gujarati Hindu family.
Right.
But their time in Yemen was relatively short.
The family moved to Mumbai in 58. I mean, that move really sets the stage for the entire Reliance story. And Dhirubhai starts that spices and textiles business. Vimal. Still rings a bell, doesn't it?
Vimal, oh, absolutely. Initially, it was just Vimal, and later it became only Vimal. It's pretty striking to think about their first place in Mumbai.
Yeah?
A modest two-bedroom apartment in Bhuleshwar.
Wow.
Even as their business grew, right, their finances improved, they moved to a 14-story apartment building called Sea Wind in Colaba. But Mukesh's upbringing in some ways stayed grounded.
Grounded? In what sense? I mean, we're talking about, the heir to a massive empire.
Well, even with all that wealth growing around him, young Mukesh, he used public transport. And get this, he didn't have a regular allowance.
Really?
So that must have instilled some values, kept him grounded, even amidst all that affluence. And then, of course, there's his education.
Yeah, he went to Hillgrange High School in Mumbai. It's interesting. Anand Jain, who later became a close associate, was his classmate. Then on to St. Xavier's College, also Mumbai. Then a BE in chemical engineering from the Institute of Chemical Technology. That technical background, that's got to be a key part of his later success, especially in petrochemicals, right?
Oh, almost certainly gave him a framework for understanding the complexity of that whole industry. And then there's Stanford.
Ah, yes, Stanford. The MBA. In the same class as Steve Ballmer. Imagine those conversations.
Yeah.
But he didn't finish, did he?
No. He left in 1980 at his father's request. Dhirubhai Ambani, famous for his belief in learning by doing, he thought real-world skills were way more valuable than an MBA. So he called Mukesh back to India.
To do what?
To run a yarn manufacturing project. A real hands-on role. Shows you Dhirubhai's style, right? His trust in his son's ability to learn by doing.
Real-world application. Hands-on. It's a theme, isn't it?
Yeah. And it wasn't just his dad. Mukesh was inspired by his professors, too, William F. Sharp and Mam Mohan Sharma. They encouraged him to think outside the box. So you have this combination of practical experience and innovative thinking. Powerful stuff.
Powerful combination. Okay, he leaves Stanford, returns to India. What were some of his early big wins, his achievements?
At 24, he's put in charge of building the Patal Ganga petrochemical plant. Huge responsibility at that age. But the big one, maybe his most transformative achievement, was leading the creation of the world's largest grassroots petroleum refinery.
Jamnagar. We hear about its scale, but what does that actually mean?
By 2010, it could process 660,000 barrels of crude oil per day. That's 33 million tons a year. Think of it as potentially meeting the daily oil needs of, say, Canada. It wasn't just a refinery, it was a whole complex. Petrochemical production, power generation, its own port. This project, it wasn't about size, it was about integration. You see that systems thinking. It becomes a real hallmark of Reliance's growth.
Integrated vision, that seems crucial. And he started looking at telecoms pretty early, right?
Yeah, even back in 2013, there were talks about a collaboration with Bharti Airtel.
Right.
Building the infrastructure for 4G, which was just emerging then. He saw the potential of digital tech early on. Then, in 2014, he announced a huge investment plan.
How huge?
1.8 trillion rupees
Oh.
across different businesses, and a commitment to launching 4G services nationwide by 2015. A clear signal. Reliance wanted to be as big in digital as they were in petrochemicals.
And then there's Reliance Infocom Limited, which became Reliance Communications, a serious push into information and communications technology. So you see diversification, building on the success in petrochemicals to move into these new high-growth areas.
Exactly. These early successes, the strategic moves, they set the stage for his leadership today. Chairman and managing director of Reliance Industries, this massive conglomerate. Energy, petrochemicals, natural gas, gas, retail, telecoms, the list goes on. And he keeps topping Forbes India's richest list. It shows you these ventures are successful, they're growing.
It's not just wealth, though. He's got recognition across different areas.
Right. In 2016, he was elected to the National Academy of Engineering for his leadership in oil refining, petrochemical technology, and large-scale project management. It's recognition from his peers. They acknowledge his expertise and his leadership. And he's been recognized for his philanthropy, too, ranked among India's top philanthropists.
And what about that Bank of America appointment? Director, the first non-American on their board. That's global recognition, isn't it? What do you think he brought to a major financial institution like that?
His knowledge of emerging markets, especially India, his experience in managing these huge industrial and technological changes, he must have had a unique perspective for the board. Insights into growing economies, how tech and traditional industries interact. His presence on the board, it showed that they recognized how important these emerging markets were becoming globally.
Global interconnectedness. And let's not forget, as of 2016, he'd been India's richest person on Forbes for 10 years straight. And he was the only Indian businessman on their list of the world's most powerful people. Mm-hmm. That says something about his impact, his influence on the world economy.
It does. And then in July 2018, he overtakes Jack Ma.
Yeah.
Becomes Asia's richest person. Net worth, over $44 billion. At that point, he's also the wealthiest person outside of North America and Europe. It's almost hard to grasp the sheer size of that wealth. You remember Bloomberg's Robinhood Index?
I do, yeah.
February 2018, they estimated his personal wealth could fund the entire Indian federal government for about 20 days. It really puts it in perspective. You see the scale of his financial resources, the economic power he has.
It's huge. It highlights the concentration of wealth, the sheer scale of what he controls. And with that kind of position, that influence, there's bound to be scrutiny. Maybe even controversy.
It often comes with the territory, right?
What are some of the big controversies in his career?
Well, there was that one in February 2014, a First Information Report, an FIR, was filed.
What for?
Alleged irregularities in natural gas pricing from the KG Basin. Those kinds of allegations, they get a lot of attention. Because it affects essential resources, it could impact the whole economy.
And then there was the stock manipulation case with Reliance Petroleum Limited, RPL, in 2007. Big penalty there, wasn't it?
Yeah, Reliance Industries was fined 950 crore rupees by SEBI, the Securities and Exchange Board of India, for manipulating shares to make profits. RPL went public in April 2006. It was listed at 60 rupees a share. Then the market crashes. RPL's share price goes up to 100 rupees, then back down to 60. SEBI found that Reliance Industries, through their agents, had carried out a scheme in the derivatives market, specifically futures contracts of RPL. The goal, profit before RPL was merged back into Reliance Industries in 2009, shows you the level of scrutiny big companies face and the consequences if they're seen as manipulating the market.
These controversies, they were big news, but they didn't seem to derail his growth or Reliance's growth. Let's shift gears a little. Talk about his personal life. Always attracts attention.
It does. He married Nita Ambani in 1985. They have 3 children. Akash, Isha, who's Akash's twin, and Anant. And the story is how they met is kind of a classic. Dhirubhai, his dad, saw Nita at a dance performance, thought she'd be perfect for Mukesh and, arranged for them to meet.
Little matchmaking. And then there's Antilia. It's become a symbol, hasn't it?
Oh.
Extreme wealth.
It has. Antilia, a 27-story private building in Mumbai, cost about $1 billion to build, makes it one of the most expensive homes in the world. 600 staff to keep it running, helipads, a huge garage, a private cinema, pools, a gym. It's a very visible display of their wealth.
It sparks debate, doesn't it, about wealth inequality?
It does, especially in a country like India with its diverse economic landscape.
It's also big on sports, isn't he?
Huge. He owns the Mumbai Indians, very successful cricket team in the Indian Premier League, the IPL. When he bought the team in 2008 for $111.9 million, he was called the world's richest sports team owner, and he's also a founder of the Indian Super League, a football league, so promoting sports beyond just cricket.
And on a personal note, he's a strict vegetarian teetotaler.
Yeah, a bit surprising for someone in his position.
In 2012, he took a pay cut, right?
He did. Capped his salary at 150 million rupees for the 4th year running. Even though the top management at Reliance got a raise, shows you his perspective on executive pay, how it relates to the company's performance and its size. He owns 50.4% of Reliance. His wealth is tied to how well the company does.
Long-term commitment. And family seems important to him. He bailed out his brother Anil.
Right. In 2019, paid off a big debt Anil's company owed to Ericsson, showed his family loyalty, especially when his brother needed it.
There have been some security scares, haven't there?
Unfortunately, yeah. In 2021, a bomb scare. An SUV with explosives was found near Antillia. And in 2023, a death threat through email. It comes with the territory being so high profile.
And his son's pre-wedding celebrations in 2024. That was big news. India's wedding of the year. Talk about a gilded age. Estimates of $300 to $600 million. It sparked debate about wealth inequality.
Absolutely. Extravagant, widely covered, became a symbol. Anant Ambani donated a gold crown worth a lot to a deity. Adds another layer to the story of wealth and charity in the family.
And he bought a Boeing 737 MAX 9 in 2024. First private owner of that model in India.
For those long trips, I guess.
We've talked about his board memberships. What do they tell us?
Past and present. Within Reliance, of course.
Yeah.
But also outside Bank of America, the World Economic Forum. Shows you the reach of his influence. He's shaping decisions, contributing to discussions on the economy and policy.
Okay, as we wrap up, what are the key things that have driven his success?
A few things come to mind. His father's entrepreneurial legacy. Risk-taking is part of Reliance's DNA. But Mukesh Ambani has also shown he can diversify, scale businesses across sectors. Petrochemicals, then telecoms with geo, retail, others. His ability to execute these huge, complex projects like Jamnagar sets him apart. And he's navigated growth and controversy. He's kept Reliance on track. His long-term vision, his willingness to invest in new tech, new sectors, that's kept Reliance at the top in India and a major player globally.
You wanted a clear, concise understanding. We've given you a structured overview of his journey, drawing from all the information we have.
So, a final thought. Looking at his journey the size of his empire, what does Mukesh Ambani's story tell us about ambition, about handling risk on a huge scale, about how global business works in the 21st century? And looking ahead, what's the next chapter? What will he do next? It's a fascinating story, and we encourage you to dig deeper into any of the parts that caught your interest. There's a lot to learn from this one.